Greetings, Rebel fans. My name is Jason Kelly. This is the Let's Run podcast. I am thrilled and honored and ecstatic that Runnin Rebel basketball has returned. My favorite time of the year, my favorite sports team of all time. As much as I love Barry Odom, and I fully support those guys um, and love the UNLV football team, my heart has always belonged to the Runnin Rebels. So it is an absolute blast. I am coming to you from the campus of UNLV. I'm here at the law school. I found an empty room to do the live stream pregame show. I've been studying all day, so it's kind of nice to get away from the books. I apologize for starting a few minutes late. However, you guys go ahead and leave me your score predictions in the comments, what you think the game's going to be. I had a 71-66 victory for the Runnin' Rebels. Which I think is reasonable considering there's going to be some injury issue stuff going on. Just a quick look around the Mountain West Conference. If you take a look, a lot of teams are playing right now, basically all of them. Not all of them, but almost all of them. I believe New Mexico is at the half with Nichols. It's 43-48. New Mexico's struggling a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. Nichols is shooting pretty well. Air Force is getting crushed by North Alabama. I don't think Air Force is going to be very good this year. The Air Force Academy is struggling with NIL. The Runnin' Asshole, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. I wish you were here tonight. But yeah, 100-66. I would love to see the Rebels break 100 points. I did a little bit of research on this South Alabama team, and I think that their defense is pretty reasonable. They actually honestly kind of remind me of the Southern team that beat us last year, which should trigger a little bit of PTSD for Rebel fans. The University of Reno is playing Sam Houston. Still early in that game, but they're down 2-0. Let's hope that Sam Houston can pull it off. I do not care about the well-being of the conference when it comes to Reno. I hope that they lose in every game they play. So Reno is down 2-0. In just a minute, Colorado State and North Dakota just teed off. Sideline says, I'm terrified, Jason. Guys, I'm kind of freaked out too. So let me just quickly go through the rest of the Mountain West slate, and then we'll get into what's going on. Concordia St. Paul is going to play Wyoming. You can go to that game for $4, so pretty impressive. Western Illinois is playing at San Jose State. You can go to that game for $5. Ooh, so those look like hot tickets. I fully expect this Thomas and Mack tonight environment to be thank you, Mr. Anthem Rebel. He just said Reno, and we always appreciate those calling out Reno for what it is. AJ's in. We all love AJ. Make sure you're following AJ. He's one of the best people for Las Vegas sports. He says Rebels by 18. That seems completely reasonable. I wanted to pull up Ken Palm so we could kind of look at the two teams and kind of see what the computers say about this game. So Ken Palm, as of right now, it's going to be empty. I'm not really that mad about that, to be honest, because I get it. Tomorrow's election day. It's an 8:30 p.m. start. I would tell all those in attendance to watch out. There might be a very belligerent Reno hater. The joke, for everybody that hasn't been following, is that if UNLV loses to Alabama State, that Reno hater is going to be going to jail. I would strongly suggest, if Eric Harper is listening, upping personal security for Kevin Kruger, maybe getting some younger guys in those red coats, because if we lose to Alabama State tonight, it's not going to be good. Women's team is struggling. I have not been paying attention to the women's schedule score. Can somebody give me the score in the comment section? I just want to make sure that I can't really change it. But we're going to be putting up the Ken Palm. We're going to be going over. Yeah, exactly. So Reno Hater points this out. Like the attendance tonight is going to be terrible. Don't be surprised when you go into the Thomas and Mack, and apparently there's bats living in the Thomas and Mack, which is embarrassing. 30. So the Rebels are up 30-27. So let's hope the Lady Rebels can kind of pull away. But don't be surprised if the attendance is low tonight. I'll be there. I'm just right outside section 112. So if anybody wants to talk to me, meet up with me, just talk about the Rebels in person. Love to meet with you guys. Just go ahead and DM me on Twitter, and I'll meet you guys anywhere you want. We can shoot the shiz, So pulling up the Ken Palm. Gosh, man, you're killing me. The bat bites. I hope the bat bites bite Kevin Kruger and he flies away. Is what I would say if we lost. So looking at this game, if I don't know if you guys can see this, if you're watching if you can see the Ken Palm stats. Now this is early in the season. UNLV is ranked at 94 in Ken Palm, so top 100 is better than it has. If a bat bites you, you just know that the athletic department has $10 million, so you can sue for that. But Ken Palm has the Rebels as the 94th best team in the country. UNLV currently, based on Ken Palm, is projected to go 17-13 with home losses to Memphis, a neutral loss to Mississippi State, a road loss at Creighton, and a road loss at Dayton. So 4 losses. I think they'd be like 6-4 in the non-conference if that was the case. So Ken Palm is not super high on the Rebels this year. They have our offense as top 100 and our defense is top 100. And what that tells me is that the computers don't really know what to think about this Runnin Rebel team. Going back to this, they're predicting a score in this game of 78-63. So the computers see this game as a 15-point win for the Runnin Rebels. Apparently, I believe DJ Thomas is going to play tonight. I mean, don't get your hopes up. Don't just listen to me because you never really know what's going to happen. Obviously, I believe DJ is a game time decision. And so the expectation is that DJ will play tonight, maybe under some sort of minutes restriction, but I would not, I can't promise you that. Who knows what's going to happen right before the game. So if he doesn't play, don't be surprised. But I would predict him to play tonight. Looking at Alabama State's scores, their players, so we really only have their data from last year, and I was not paying attention to their, to how many players they have returning. But from what I understand, they lost most of their players from last year. They were a pretty mediocre team last year, finishing the season 13-18. And they lost most of their scorers and replaced them with transfers. Some guys that you might want to look out for on Alabama State. To be honest, I can't really tell you because I haven't. I think Amar Knox is on the team still. He's going to be a junior guard this year. How many points does Jackie have for Fordham? I believe isn't he at like 25 points or something? For all those unaware, Jackie Johnson is playing for Fordham and Fordham, I guess I should say. And Jackie was absolutely cooking in the first half. Now Fordham's terrible. And Jackie, is kind of given the green light. He's got the green light, but the two guys that I'm going to be lovingly looking back on are Jackie Johnson and Shane Noel this year. So the real question here for me is this Alabama State team. It's not a world beater type team. They're okay defensively. Their coach Tony Madlock has been at Alabama State. This is his 4th year. He had a pretty young team last year. From the little research that I've done on Alabama State. Honestly, I really don't feel like I should have to dig deep into Alabama State because if we lose this game, it's pretty terrible. And I don't really think it's Alabama State's, I don't think it's our responsibility to go deep dive into Alabama State and their statistical profile. So this Alabama State team can defend. They struggle at scoring. But last year they did get hot from 3 basically in all their wins. So my biggest concerns for this game is the defense. If you look at our backcourt, assuming DJ Thomas plays only about 20 minutes this game, you're going to see Julian Rishwain get some minutes tonight. He is an automatic shooter, but he's had struggles with health. His stroke, though, I was talking to Jeff about this, who's been going to the practices. He seems to be, one of the cleanest shooters. One of the cleanest shooters that we've had in a long time. So Rishwain is probably going to get some play. I would imagine Jalen Bedford is going to take the most shots of any Rebel player tonight. He will have the green light, I imagine, especially with DJ being a little limited tonight. And so you're going to see a lot of that. Jace Whiting, big fan of Jace. Appreciate Jace, friend of the show. He'll get some run. I don't imagine he'll get more than 15 or 20 minutes too. He also has kind of been struggling with a little bit of an injury. Nothing too serious, of course, but I don't think the coaching staff are going to want to push him too much. So really the guy that's going to get a lot of, the responsibility tonight is Brooklyn Hicks. Obviously Rishwain and Bedford's going to get a ton too, but we're going to really need a solid performance, a performance without a ton of turnovers from Brooklyn Hicks to control this game, to control the pace of this game. Brooklyn seems primed for kind of a breakout season. The Reno game is empty. Thank goodness. If they watched, I just want to take a second. Sorry, I don't mean to talk about football, but I hope you guys already saw that. I hope you guys saw that play that Reno had against Colorado State, that special teams touchdown where Reno picked up a ball off a punt and basically gave up a touchdown on their own punt. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, Reno sucks. But, it's going to take a mistake-free game from Brooklyn Hicks to really keep the Rebels under control. Brooklyn showed some serious flashes last year. I remember I was at the game at New Mexico in Albuquerque last year where I thought Brooklyn really kind of came into his own a little bit. And then I was really disappointed by his lack of minutes going down the stretch last year. So Brooklyn's big. And I think that, he can't have 7 or 8 turnovers. Brooklyn has to play under control. He has to play within himself. And I think he will. I trust Brooklyn. I really like him. And if you guys know anything about him, he's a freak athlete. Do yourself a favor and go back and watch those Brooklyn Hicks highlights from high school. He was kind of like a Russell Westbrook in high school in just in terms of how he played. Now, obviously, Russell Westbrook, not so great in the NBA, but you can imagine how awesome he would be as a college player. And that's kind of how I saw Brooklyn Hicks. Not a great shooter, but just a freak athlete that could get above the rim. So expect a big game from Brooklyn Hicks tonight. I want to know if he's going to be shooting a lot of threes, if he's going to be primarily on the ball, whether it's him or Bedford when DJ's off the floor. What kind of minutes does Jace Whiting get? The backcourt is really the big question tonight. With limited run from DJ, you're going to have to see these guys step up. And I think offensively, they probably will. Now, they may not shoot great, but I do think that offensively they will be good enough. On the wing, Jaden Henley, they're going to be trying to get him out into transition. If you guys have seen any of the Jaden Henley tape, the guy is a fiend in transition, so I would expect Bear Cherry to get the ball outlet to Jaden Henley, and Jaden Henley just to basically dead sprint towards the rim. Henley is not as good in the half court, although he does have a better looking stroke than I thought he did when he was at DePaul. And yeah, so that's kind of the wing. We don't really have a ton of wing. You're gonna see backcourt players like Rishwain end up playing a lot in the 3 position. We don't really have a small forward on the team outside of Jaden Henley, which is a big problem in my opinion. That's where a guy like Shane Noel, was a small forward. He could play small forward pretty well. So we're not really going to have a big team on the wing. And Keelan was kind of a big advantage for us in being a 6'8" kind of shooter on the wing. And we're not really going to have that this year except for Henley. So Henley is going to be very important defensively. Offensively, again, I expect him to be fine. I expect him to score in transition. But defensively, the wing and the point guard is going to be a big thing. Here's the big question, and Reno Hater brings this up. How much will Jalen Hill play? He has insisted that he is healthy, that he's 100% healthy. However, he has been on a rep restriction. I think Jalen is better at the 4 as kind of a small ball 4 option. But he certainly can play as at the 3, but he's going to have to be laterally quicker than we saw at the beginning of last year. Because if you watch that tape from the start of last year, Jalen was really struggling on defense and was not moving side to side fast enough to play on the perimeter. And so I'm hoping that he's healthy enough. I'm hoping he can play the 3. So yeah, in Reno Hater again, who's going to be Lou Rod this year? Now, I'm not talking about the second part where they're going to love to chuck up brick threes all year. Lou Rod kind of had a weird looking stroke. I really did like Luis Rodriguez as a player, but yeah, it's Jaden Henley. Hey, Jaden Henley's going to take over the Lou Rod role. Henley's a little bigger than Lou Rod is, not nearly as good defensively as Lou Rod was, but Lou Rod would kind of disappear offensively, and so sometimes the defense that he provided was offset a ton by rough offense. Fully expect Jaden Henley to just get a ton of minutes. I would not be surprised if Jaden Henley leads the team in minutes this year, which is something that would not surprise, which is something that I don't think is great because I wasn't huge on the Jaden Henley edition, but it grew on me over the course of the summer. So that's kind of the 3. You're going to see a bunch of, something that I would love to see. I don't know if, I would love to see like Jacob Barnaby be a 3. Now I know that's not going to happen because Barnaby can't shoot and he's limited offensively, but we just need size in the perimeter. And I think that a guy like Barnaby maybe could move well enough for that. I think that's crazy. It's not going to happen, but I can wish, I can dream. So let's go into the front court. The front court is probably the strongest part of the roster outside of point guard. Bear Cherry, 6'11", 285. Dude's a beast. I think he's going to be Rebel fans' favorite player. He was a transfer out of a JUCO in New Mexico. We found out about him quite a ways back. But Bear Cherry is going to be good offensively. I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be able to get offensive rebounds, that he's going to be able to score at the paint. My biggest problem with Bear Cherry is I'm worried about him defensively. I don't know if he moves well enough. I don't know if he's going to be a shot blocker. And I worry about him. Yeah, I mean, the crowds are going to be crazy tonight. Again, New Mexico, who is just coming off a dream season, and they don't have any fans. Nobody's at Lawler tonight. With the election tomorrow, I'm just grateful that I can be worried about this instead of the election, because I could care less about the election right now. I just want the Rebels to win, and it's really nice that sports have kind of distracted me from politics. But is Bear Cherry going to be good enough defensively? Can he be a defensive anchor in the middle? If he can't, then this team is really going to struggle. And looking at our scrimmage results from we barely beat San Diego. We had to go to overtime and we lost to UCSB. Again, DJ got hurt as that game started, so I don't really hold that game against the Rebels that much. If they look bad in this game, even if they barely squeak out a win, I will hold it against them quite a bit. So can Bear Cherry be a legit defensive player? That's the question. There are also some health concerns with Rob Whaley. Rob's great. He'll play. He'll get his run. But Rob's been kind of dealing with some nagging injuries. Love Rob. I hope he's good this year. I hope he's good. I hope he starts well this year. He was really rough at the start of his career last year for the Rebels. But Rob Whaley is certainly going to have to be good. Jacob Barnaby will most assuredly play in the 4 behind Rob Whaley. And then the guy that I think could get some play, especially as the year goes on, is Pape Ndiaye. And I think just because he has really good defensive instincts, I watched a tape on him. He's too skinny. He's still too skinny. Not his fault. He's 18. So Reno Hater reads my mind. I think that this team might need Pape, to be honest with you. Like, I think that defensively, this team might need another big body because I don't know that I trust Bear Cherry, and I know that I don't trust Isaiah Cottrell to play good defense on the interior. Um, Caleb Boone had some okay moments as an interior defender last year, but really the reason why the Rebels were able to kind of turn around their defense last year was because of Keelan Boone and Luis Rodriguez on the perimeter. Can Pape and Diaye get some minutes? Could Pape end up, he's not going to get it tonight. I wouldn't expect barely any Pape minutes tonight. But he's 6'10", 6'11", very athletic, moves pretty well. He's got long arms. I could see him getting some time as the year goes on. But tonight, I imagine that Cottrell will get the lion's share of the backup 5 minutes. Not a big fan of Cottrell. Obviously, I like him individually as a person. I'm a huge fan of him. I love that he's been here for 3 years. This is his 3rd year as a Rebel, which is pretty remarkable. But I just don't know if he's going to be able to play defense. He's not a great rebounder. He just kind of seems like a minimal stretch 5, and so I'm not sure we're going to get a ton of Cottrell tonight. But we are going to get a ton of Cottrell, instead of playing defense, kind of just fouled a lot. So I'm not sure if we're going to get a ton of Cottrell tonight. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how much we're going to get from Cottrell tonight. If you look back last year against Southern, Isaiah Cottrell was actually our leading scorer in that game. He made a bunch of threes in a useless game. It was his highest scoring game of the year by a lot. And so if Isaiah Cottrell is our leading scorer tonight, I assume we're going to lose. But, looking at the rest of the roster, will a guy like James Evans get played tonight? I don't think so. I don't think James is ready offensively. I mean, he's a freak athlete. I love James Evans. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be a great Runnin Rebel as long as he sticks around and gets developed, which he will. But is he really going to get some too much play tonight? I don't think so. And so your biggest keys for the game, there are 2 keys. Can the Rebels hold this Alabama State team to under 1 point per possession? 1 point per possession is about NCAA average. I hope that this Rebel team can hold this Alabama State team, even if it's just below 1 point per possession. I think that's probably going to be a good metric. If Alabama State is getting over about 70 points in this game, the Rebel defense is cooked. They're going to have some serious problems. So that's the biggest thing. Can this team guard the perimeter? Can the big guys down low protect the rim? I think that Barnaby, here's the thing, dude. I think Barnaby might have to be used because he's such a good athlete. And I think our defense just needs athletes. Next thing you're going to want to look for is the health of the players. How healthy is DJ Thomas? Can he play more than 20 minutes tonight? How healthy is Rob Whaley? Lower back things, especially with a guy his size, he's pretty big. You hope that he can be healthy and be on the floor and be effective. How healthy is he? How healthy is everybody? I mean, our team is not super healthy right now. How healthy is Jalen Hill? We really don't know. Hill is probably the biggest wild card of this team. He could fix a lot of the defensive issues. If you saw him in the Big 12, he was an excellent player in the best basketball league in the country on defense. He was not last year. So I guess we're going to see if he can get back to form. I know he's determined to get back to form. Grateful that we have him for another year. And the last thing that I'll say is, does this team shoot well enough? Last year's team did not shoot well enough. We relied on Keelan Boone to bail us out on possessions. Justin Webster had an abhorrent year, terrible year, one of the worst years for a Rebel. If they got rid of fireworks, Mr. Reno hater, I think I'll lose my mind. They cannot get rid of fireworks. I mean, like, if it wasn't tonight, maybe, whatever, but come Memphis on Saturday, they better have the dang fireworks in that building. There should be an okay crowd as people kind of want some Rebel fill while our football team is off playing at Hawaii. So just to go over the keys again, how's the Rebel defense? Are they holding them to under 70 points? I think that's a good metric. I think that's a good goal. How's the Rebels shooting? Are we shooting 35% from three? Are we making 7 or 8 threes a half? Would be, or sorry, 5 or 6 threes a half. And how are the guys health wise? This game, if you look at it on the schedule, this game should be a preparation game for Memphis on Saturday. We're trying to get right. We're trying to get our guys healthy and ready for a huge home game at the Thomas and Mack on Saturday. Is this game going to be a repeat of the Southern game last year? I'll tell you this. Kevin Kruger, even more so than beating Memphis would be, come out and dominate this game. Win it. Be disciplined on defense. Last year, the guys didn't know if they were switching, if they were running a hedge defensive scheme. Make sure your guys are detail-oriented and ready to go. And go out and win the dang game. There's nothing else to say. This is Alabama State. Lose this game, and your chances of an NCAA tournament bid, which are already not super high, but they exist. Win this game, and you will be you'll be okay. You can't lose these kind of quad 4 games. If UNLV loses this game, I can tell you that their season will be in jeopardy from the start, like it was last year against Southern. That loss against Southern was the worst loss in the history of Las Vegas sports, in my opinion. I'm dead serious. It was that bad. It was worse than anything football-wise, in my humble opinion. So go out there and get it done. These guys are capable of getting it done. Even if DJ Thomas played 0 minutes tonight, they still should be able to go win this game. And yeah, try and be healthy, get primed up. I'm going to say that we're going to win. I got 71-66. We're going to be ahead for most of the game. By a pretty comfortable margin. I'll say that Alabama State will close kind of strong, make the game look a little bit closer than it actually is. But I will say that the Runnin Rebels are victorious, getting ready for their game against Memphis on Saturday. So, guys, I will see you at the Thomas and Mack in a little less than an hour. That's my favorite place on earth. I love the Thomas and Mack. I love hanging out there with my friends and family. I'm just grateful basketball season's back. Let's start it out on a good note. Let's hit the ground running. And let's just get ready for this game. I appreciate you all. Everybody say a quick prayer for Reno Hader. Make sure that we do not want him arrested tonight. So say a quick prayer that the guys can pull it off. And I appreciate you guys all. I will, if there's something to talk about, a huge deal to talk about, I will go live after the game, probably just as a Twitter space, as opposed to a more formal thing, just because I'll be driving home from the game. So check out that if you guys want to. If there's something crazy, I'll tweet it out if I'm going to do it or not. It'd be nice to be at the Thomas and Mack and do like a full post-game show. I don't think that's in the cards this year. I think it will be in the cards next year. But I appreciate you all. 71-66 is my pick. Let's go Rebels, and let's run.